Hey Marco, good to see you again.
We wanted to give you, as the largest ever NOAH speaker, the last word at this conference. You would love this location. It's beautiful. We miss you very much. Bit going into this area of sustainability. I guess a lot of people are hungry for content and demystifying the sustainability chaos and trying to find market leaders. Payment is an enabler. Adyen is the largest payment provider out of Europe, maybe even over other continents. Tell us a little bit, Pieter, about Adyen. What is the kind of key services you deliver at the moment? And maybe you can even mention some large customers.
Sure. Again, great for having me, and I'm looking forward to, at the next NOAH conference, have a beer together, Marco. About Adyen, yes, what we do is we provide payments. Actually, everybody has used Adyen unknowingly, and that is because we are the payments company behind the largest brand. So if you shop, for example, at H&M, good chance that it runs over our system, your transaction, in store and online, but also on platforms like eBay. We are the company that is fulfilling the payments. And then, of course, a lot of names which you will recognize, like Zalando, Gorillas, or Lindt, Veleda. So it are the large US brands, but that are also in each country we support the large local brands.
Well, I remember, what is it now, 7, 8 years ago, you already had in the very early years, like the big companies moving over to Adyen and then being like a light signal tower for the rest of the industry, and probably brought you a lot of business, these top names. I guess the top names really lead the way for a long tail followers. How is your growth? What is your growth story today? You mentioned just now that you're also in the offline, which is interesting for H&M to be a multi-channel provider. Is the offline component the largest piece of your growth story, or is it internationalization, mobile, or where? What are you telling investors these days where the growth is coming from?
Yeah, let's take one step back. When we started Adyen, in the market approach, we looked at approaching the market with a better product. And usually startups begin with the merchants which are neglected. So small merchants often get bad services from large companies, and you start your company by giving them great service, and that's how you work your way up. And we did it the other way around. We were providing something that no one had, so for different quality. Banks were giving a so-so service. And we said, let's come with an excellent product. It's very difficult to get a company like that started. But once we did, then we were immediately attractive to the high end. In 2013, we made the choice that we shouldn't do that just for online, but that we also should be in store. And that picked up rapidly. And that means that now it's just payments, and it's not so much online payments, but it's also store payments. And indeed, like you say, it's the global coverage. If you say, what are we telling investors? There are multiple trends which we are following. Unified commerce, and how and especially the pandemic has done that, merged what's happening in store physically with what's happening online, where the store becomes a service point, the display store. We talk with investors about the platform, our platform offering, where of course, when we landed eBay, we were immediately a huge player. So those are the themes that we discuss with them.
I remember when we were talking in London, I believe it was 2017, and you told me that you want to make this company big. I think it was 2016 actually in our trailer, and you wanted to take it public. Now, many people I know, when they take their company public, in particular when it is not the first one, because you were also the founder of Bibit, they take a rest at some time. You keep on going and going. How is it being a public company? Do you enjoy it? And are you using your currency as a public company to have appetite for M&A, if I may ask?
Yeah, no, those are very good questions. To start with M&A, we never found M&A attractive because we control our stack, and this is payment specific. But once you acquire another payment company, merchants are fully reliant with their full revenue on such a payment platform. So it's a great responsibility. And if you say, yes, that platform is not so good, we all have to migrate, Why would a merchant migrate to your other platform? They'll probably go for RFP. So they probably request which platform will I connect to. So it is a difficult situation if you are responsible for many platforms. Many of our competitors run like 12 or 14 platforms because they have built themselves through acquisitions, and we've been very disciplined. So no acquisitions. So your answer is, now that you can acquire companies, being a public company, we've never done that, and I don't see us acquiring something directly in payments, because that dilutes our concept of owning our own stack, controlling it, being able to work away any technical debt, and suddenly then you have to divide your engineers over multiple platforms. I find it unattractive.
Well, then maybe the sustainability sector gives you some expansion opportunities. I don't know. We are talking here about lots of new models, how to involve indigenous communities all over the world, which you can probably do through sending them payments for ecosystem services in the nature. I think there's an Israeli company called Pioneer who is sending money around for merchants, so the other way around. On your sustainability side, is that something investors challenge you about, that you need to have a sustainability strategy? When we are talking about the new concept of NOAH about sustainability, Alex told me it's a topic you take very seriously. Is it a topic for a payment company? And if so, what is it you're doing in that regard?
Yeah, two answers there. First, as ourselves, we are carbon neutral from day one, so we have compensated everything, but it's not something to be specifically proud of. I think it's your license to operate. You should do that. We have a company of size, so that means that we feel the responsibility. And what we do, there are a lot of initiatives out of local offices to support communities and to take our responsibility there. There's a thought line. If you want to have impact, what has the greatest multiplier on the euro spent? And that's, we feel, is when we help our merchants to run a business in a more sustainable way. So part of our payments infrastructure is that at the end of a payment, you can, and that product is called Adyen Restore, you can say, I want to buy this product carbon neutral. And then there's a second transaction, so you can offset. So you pay for your, for your clothing or for your new glasses, and then you can offset it at the end of the transaction.
So that's embedded in your core product then, this offset?
It's embedded in our product. And if we talk to companies like Patagonia, like, hey, do you think this is the best way forward for us? It's widely accepted that if we use our engineers, our power, do something that we're really good at to help other companies with their sustainability, that has the greatest multiplier, better than if we donate something, because this is our core skill. We have this specific group of engineers that's very rare, and you see it working. You see that a company like Ace and Tate's, Indeed Glasses, you can donate half a tree or 2 trees at the end of the transaction, which is like extremely cool because they didn't have to put resources on it. And we set it up in such a way that it won't interfere with their administration. So it comes at no overhead for them. And I think that those are very promising products to help our merchant base. And think about the multiplier if we can help all our merchants to compensate.
And this product was launched when?
We started a couple of years ago with, first we called it Adyen Giving. So where you can donate, say for War Child. And then later we added Restore to it, specifically for focused on emissions. And where we actually work with an external party to calculate the emission of
Who is it? Who are you working with? We are very excited to know, because we know them all by now.
The North Pole we work with.
South Pole.
South Pole. It's good that I have you to correct me. Thank you, Marco.
Well, there must be some value add. You have figured it all out, so at least I can correct you on the name. I mean, the issue in the offset market is that the number of projects are quite tiny. It's only like 500 million. The offset promises are 30 billion. You're obviously enabling the consumers to offset, which is beautiful. But we need more environmental projects, forest-saving projects, which actually give you carbon credits. And that's why we did this conference, so that the offset promises by 2030 are not just science fiction, but they actually can be met. But we need more projects in this world. So I would love to talk to your team about this at some other point. Economic growth is often enabled through payments, and it's a concept which is probably unknown to many. Can you talk a little bit about like the value add Adyen delivered to some industries or countries, how you supported that growth through your payment technologies?
Well, you see that there's a lot of development in payments, and as a merchant, you see there's more international business going on. So you want to include everyone, and that means that you don't want to support that part of the population which has cards, but also which have local payment methods, which sometimes comes in forms like going to a local store and transacting there, getting a receipt and filling that in online. So there are very many different ways of paying, and as a merchant, you want to support all consumer groups and not just the card holder. So that's what we make sure that works internationally.
You have probably the best data treasure source there of anyone. Can you tell us some secrets, what you see of consumer behavior developing in the course of the pandemic? We saw lots of people doing a lot more online. I think there were like 5 NOAH speakers telling us in the beginning, or like mid-2020, that COVID propelled their business plan like 2 years ahead. Has this high level of online activity, especially on the e-commerce side, kept up, or are people going back shopping to high street?
What is really intriguing to see is that the companies which have the stores which have both physical terminals and online, that when the pandemic hit, first consumer levels dropped, and then quickly it was compensated by the store consumer also moving online. So there has been a new trend that people buy more online. It's now too early for us to say. It looked like some of that online volume stayed when also the stores opened, and that the total was more than before, so that you attracted new consumers, but that's too early now, and pandemic is unfortunately still going on, so conclusive data on that is a bit too early. Another trend which you saw is that there were merchants who thought, we are in-store merchants, we are safe, French fashion, high-touch products, and then suddenly with COVID, they found out actually we can sell online and we should implement it really quickly. There's a little bit of a bias towards the larger brand names because they took the time to implement that, and they didn't have to worry that much about continuity. So you saw that they were outfitting their stores with new terminals when closed. They were quickly implementing their online plans. So it has been a tailwind for us in the last years. Although, of course, we also have a travel portfolio, which didn't do very much during COVID.
And maybe one last question. Do you see that the big platforms are keeping their market share? Is there a long tail e-commerce market, or is it like a lot of platform critics are saying in today's world, all centered around key players like Amazon? Is the long tail of e-commerce, through your help, I guess, enablement, continuing to grow, or do you see that e-commerce players are consolidating and it's concentrating on the top players? I don't know if it's country by country.
The platforms will play a huge role, and I don't think that's a minority, and that we all only shop at a few large brands. They're very important, but the platform industry is huge and is extremely important to support and is very dear to us.
And it's often also integrated, right? They go as a merchant on Amazon and then they have their own proprietary store. I would love to see one metrics, like number of consumers or your users like shopped at merchants on average, numbers of merchants shopped over time per month. I would give you a good indication, but I guess, well, you can do it by credit card. Well, Pieter, any questions for NOAH? You weren't here. I'm sure you are curious. You came already 2012. Adyen was with us pretty much every year. Any questions for us here in Switzerland? You want to know if there are big customers here, tons of them. No, the reality is most corporates were not allowed to travel. And we have brave entrepreneurs, 800 startups, 350 investors, and the corporates will come all back next year. And I hope to host you. You will love this conference center.
I'll certainly will put in the effort to be there in person next year.
Thank you. Say hi to the entire Adyen team. I was missing Tyne here, but he sent a very nice message. Pieter, thank you, and hello
Marco,
to Amsterdam. Ciao. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.